welcome to another episode of Joey's Paranormal Celebrity Interviews. Tonight we have a very special guest, and thanks to Dionne Warwick and her psychic friends, along with Miss Cleo, I am a huge fan of. I can go on and on, but without further ado, I'd like to introduce the master of suspense himself, none other than Alfred Hitchcock. Welcome, and thank you for taking time to speak with us. How are you, Mr. Hitchcock?
Well, you did put me in the spot of bother. I was about to meet Mark Twain in a game of poker for the first time ever.
Well, that's very interesting. One would have to know, though. Did you actually have the hand, or were you bluffing?
Well, I did, yes. Yeah, I had aces and eights with a queen high.
Okay. The dead man's hand. Seems fitting for this conversation that we're about to have. Well, let's talk about some of your movies. Let's dive right into it. Let's start with Psycho. It's one of the most iconic films you've made. Where did you get the idea to film that from?
Well, my longtime assistant read a book review about the book. It was titled Psycho. It was about a man in Wisconsin who did grave robbing and necrophilia and stuff like that, and I loved the idea for that book. So I decided to buy the rights to it and produce the film.
Okay. The choices you've made have been groundbreaking, especially the shower scene in Psycho. You seem to always fight the code enforcers. Is there a reason for that?
Well, I'd like to push the envelope of suspense. I'd like to be groundbreaking. With that bathroom scene, you never saw a bathroom in film at that time. It was absolutely forbidden. And to show a toilet on screen, that was something that people would not have liked. But I did get it done. I did have to make a cut in the bedroom scene toward the beginning of the film where I had to make it more correct for them. As you noticed, there was a man and a woman in only one bed. So that I had to cut.
Well, that type of segregation nowadays, we're not playing the movie. You always see a man and woman. So, explain to the audience your different filmmaking techniques.
Well, there's lots of things that you could do in film. I like to play with sound sometimes, like in North by Northwest, where the plane is going after kill rat. I chose not to do music there, because to have a natural sound or a diegetic sound, which is a sound of the environment on the screen. It pulls the audience member in and almost makes them as part of the scene as the plane is coming after them.
Duly understand. I really do understand. You do this a few times. In Psycho, with the private investigator falling down the stairs, and in Vertigo, with what's now called the dolly zoom. What reaction were you trying to get from the audience?
Just to bring them into the scene again. Like in Psycho, when he's falling down the stairs and the camera is falling down, it's almost as if though you're falling down the stairs with him. And in Vertigo, with that dolly zoom, it almost can entice a feeling of nausea or almost vertigo in the audience member. It can throw them off with that sudden pull back and push in.
Well, I can definitely relate, because watching a few of those scenes in Vertigo, equilibrium took a shift on me, and I felt nauseous. So you've accomplished your goal.
Very good, very good.
Now let's talk about the actors and actresses you chose to play the part. As far as Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh in Psycho, and James Stewart and Kim Novak in Vertigo. Why not the other way around? And also, why did you choose a desolate area in Psycho in comparison to a big city like the one in Vertigo?
Well, with casting choices, you have to pick the person who fits the character on screen the best. With Jimmy Stewart, he's more of a heroic sort, and have him as the killer in Psycho. I don't think audiences would have accepted that as much as they did with Anthony Perkins.
I can understand that.
And as far as location-wise, could you imagine Vertigo taking place in a farm field?
No.
It would not have worked. You need the height of the city and the tall buildings. And with Psycho, it is a desolate area where help is no one nearby. You just cannot run to your corner police box to summon help.
Now, do you think some can argue that the house in Psycho can be used for Vertigo?
Well, you just limit yourself to one location. Sometimes you don't want to always limit yourself to one location, unless it helps the film in an entirety.
Understood. There's another thing you used in your films, and that's called a MacGuffin. For those in the audience who don't understand what the MacGuffin is, it's where a major plot point is not a person per se, but rather an object or trait. Why use this MacGuffin?
Well, having a MacGuffin in a film, has an unspoken or unseen plot point sometimes. Sometimes it is seen, like in Vertigo. Jimmy Stewart did have vertigo, so that vertigo is that plot point. That plot point stopped him from running all the way up the bell tower. Or, like in Psycho, it is the mother, who is mostly unseen. Or, as in Rear Window, we have the whole courtyard, which is the MacGuffin there, where everything takes place in that one area, and it's all connected to that one central plot point, which, as you see, it makes the movie flow much better.
I think all of us who have seen it can understand more of the behind the scenes and why you did what you did. A couple more questions. How would your films be more inclusive to the audience of today if you were to film?
Well, if I could do it today and not have to deal with the normal then, I'd like to see maybe some role reversals. Like have a woman play the part in North by Northwest that Cary Grant played. Maybe have like an Angelina Jolie or a Gal Gadot play that part. I think that would be a fantastic movie to play and make.
Okay. And finally, would you or would you not recommend your movies?
Well, of course I'd recommend my movies. They're my movies. So, watch my movies. And you also watch Alfred Hitchcock Presents on WCIU on Saturday nights.
Excuse me, Mr. Hitchcock. Okay, Mr. Hitchcock. Well, it seems he's gone and vanished just like that. We apologize to Marlon Brando for not having enough time to get to you today, but stay tuned to our next show where our spot guest is Marlon Brando. Thank you and have a good night.